computer. Hi Amy, nice for you to join me today. How are you doing, lovey?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. I love your jumper.
Hey, it's just an oldie but a goodie. You know, like I've done so many videos in this, but it's like freezing, isn't it, today? So I wanted something cozy.
Do you know what? I'm so glad that you said that, because I was like, I really should put on like a blazer or a blouse or something. And then I was like, no, Layla, we keep it real here in the beauty.
I mean, I don't remember the last time I wore a blazer. Do you? Well, you probably do. I can't. I'm in like jeans and trainers all the time.
It's definitely a jumper day. It's definitely a jumper day.
Yeah.
So we've got you here to talk about one of your businesses.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really nice, tangible conversation that you and I are about to have to help salon owners that may be considering either franchising their own salon, or maybe they adopt the franchise business model.
Yep.
So I'm just going to start with the most simplest question, because not everybody understands what a franchise even is. So in its simplest definition, what is a franchise?
It's a business in a box.
Yay, I love that. You just killed it.
It is. That's all it is. You're literally buying a business that is a proven model. As a franchisee, you are buying a business in a box. So it has everything for you to be successful as a franchise owner, a franchisee. But as a franchisor, you're selling a business box.
So you just said the word successful there, which we use a lot in the Beauty Boss clubs and academies and stuff. So this wasn't a question, but I'm going to ask it. With the business in a box, of course, the fact that everything's streamlined and structured and operations are there and all the stuff that we're going to come on to, it's all kind of there ready just to be turned on. Does the success of that business ultimately come down to the franchisor or the franchise? Both.
It is fundamentally the franchisee that it has to. You can only. It's the same saying, isn't it? You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. It's exactly the same. You can give a franchisee the model of how to be successful, but if they're going to sit on their backside, not show up for work, not give a damn, not give great service, there's nothing you can do about that. But as part of the franchise model, it's down to standards, processes and systems. Basically, that everything has to have a system to it, and if they are failing in one of those systems, then it's their fault. As a franchisor, I could potentially be failing them if I'm not supporting them enough or not doing enough marketing for them. Or
okay, so let's get to what the partnership entails, but before that, let me ask you, what made you decide to turn your salon into the model of a franchise?
It's quite a unique concept because we just do nails and waxing, and I wanted a salon. You know, that was when the times when Gordon Ramsay was around. Do you remember that program? And I really want to do that. I want to be like the Gordon Ramsay of the beauty world. But like he used to go into restaurants and be like, streamline all of your menus, take it all back, and just be really good at certain things. Because otherwise it's crap, isn't it? You're just trying to do 100 treatments, so therefore you're never going to have therapists that can do every one of those treatments. It's not going to cost you thousands to train and then thousands to re-recruit. So I was like, I knew that that's not what I wanted, and I wanted 10 salons of my own. So because the concept's quite unique, I knew that I could replicate it. So I had to try it with my own salons first. I had to then open a second to see if it worked. But then after the second, I nearly lost everything because I didn't calculate correctly the running loss of Farnham plus the new running loss of Horsham. I only calculated running loss of Horsham.
So you've got two at the moment.
I've got two of my own,
two of your own. And what, and in the complete franchise model, say, or packages that you've got, how many have you got? Others?
I've got 3 franchises,
right? So 2 that are solely yours, 2
are completely mine, and then I've got 3 franchises. There's 5 altogether.
Right. Okay, so I mean, the word franchise, straight away, we know places like McDonald's, you know, Taco Bell, KFC, all those sort of places. Yeah, there you go. They're all like the franchise model. For our industry, I know that back in the day, like for hairdressers, Tony and Guy, I think was
Masters.
But Tony and Guy, I felt, I mean, it might be wrong here, I felt like that was kind of the flag of salons can run this model as well.
Yeah, and that's why they are very strict. You know, they have certain hairdos, don't they? And they become famous for their season hairdos. Yeah.
So did you see a salon, a beauty salon, you know, offering a franchise package or partnership before you went, I'll do that too? No.
never seen it before. I didn't really understand loads about it. I just knew I wanted 10. And then I'd had 2 children. They were very young. And I was like, yeah, like I said, nearly lost everything for 10 grand. We found it, sorted it out, pulled it all out of the bag. And I was like, these models work. This can be replicated. That was just my own stupidity, my own mistake. I mean, I've learned loads from it. But going forward, I was like, how can I get 10 operational? We know how hard it is to operate 1 or 2 salons.
Yeah.
I was like, do I want to operate 10? What are my favorite things to do as a business owner? Fundamentally, operations is not my favorite. I love troubleshooting, so that is part of operations, but I love the setup, I love the decor and design, I love the training, I love all of these things. So I kind of listed what my favorite things were, and I was like, so do I want to operate 10, or do I want to own or have? It's the brand awareness that I wanted.
Absolutely.
So I spoke to my business manager actually, and she was like, you need to franchise this, because I haven't seen anybody in the beauty world that's done it well. There's a couple that have dipped their toe in, and there's a couple that have had 2 or 3 franchises, but I really believe Mua's franchise is gonna go massive. I can feel it.
Your plan, that should really be one of my last questions, but I'm just going to ask you now. Is that the vision to go? Yeah.
I want Mua's in every market town.
Yeah.
And then also I'd like someone to take it to Australia. I'd really think, because I've worked in Australia before, and I think it would go really well in Oz. I think there's certain places in America I'd love to see it. I think it'd go really well in California.
Yeah.
There's so many places that I'd love to see it. There's a lot of places in Europe as well, because it's just nails and waxing, and there's, you know, you've either got really high-end salons and spas which are beautiful, and then you've got Asian nail bars. There's not that much in between. So I feel like Mua's fills that gap. Where you can have great quality service and treatments done well, but in a much more relaxed, fun, kind of funky setting.
Yeah. So once you've nailed your own 2, the idea, you know, if I talk simple Simon terms, is that you basically, through getting a franchisee, you replicate, you know, right down to the same wallpaper, the same color of paint and whatever, same furniture and stuff, so they look identical. I mean, I did this with my 3, Scotland, Liverpool and Bournemouth, the Creative Beauty Group, but they weren't a franchise. They were all mine. I owned them, and people would come to me and be like, is this a franchise? And I'd be like, no. And then I'd have people asking me, will you franchise? And I did say no. But I get what you're saying. I think you have to get to a place where you're happy with the operational level. And you need to make sure they're all run as if they are clones of each other, as if like you could be in any of them, and they were all
and that was it. Like at the time, I think it was just perfect timing. I'd left after my first one. I had to leave after 2 years to go and have my baby, so I had a manager. She'd not had any management experience, but she was one of the best therapists I've ever known. So I trained her, coached her, mentored her to become my manager, and she's just come over as my training manager now. She's still with me. She's amazing. I just adore her. And then when I opened Horsham, I needed a manager. I never worked in Horsham, so I needed to test that model to see if my management training worked, my coaching style worked, and all of that. So then if I can do that with 2 salons and have them running without me, then this is a model that's going to work. And it's down to the systems and processes and my coaching style that would get them to that point. So then it was like, okay, what do I need to do to replicate that? And that's where, I mean, it took me a year to get it together properly. I've created a management training program, all of my ops manuals, everything. You have like a book basically that says this is how you run your salon, this is what it needs to look like. But what we've realized as we've done it is that it's so nice. Rather, you know, like Starbucks, for instance, if you wanted a Starbucks franchise, you would have a brochure and you could choose what chairs you want, what tables you want. And I wanted each one to be slightly unique. I wanted them to feel like it was their own salon, not just mine. And that's what's really worked, and that's what's proven to be really successful. So we've got like Gigi is Brazilian, and I said to her, why do you want English birds? Let's stick some parrots in here. You're from the Amazon jungle, like let's put some parrots in here. And she was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Love that.
And Emma's like really colourful and creative, so hers is really bright. And then
Vanessa, so these are your franchisees?
Yeah. Right. And then Petersfield, like she is Chanel, you know, she wears Chanel jewelry, she's top to toe Chanel. So hers is very chic, very beautiful, very, very chic. But they've all kind of, you can tell they're all mirrors. But they've all got their own identity.
I guess you've made sure of that. I guess you've made sure of that through your leadership skills and through your operations manuals and the contracts and stuff.
I mean, the contract's a beast, but
So okay, so let's just get to the money part, because I do, like everyone in my world know that I love to talk about money. We're all in this for. How much would it take for somebody to approach you and say, I want to open a Mui's?
Well, the franchise fee is 19.5 grand plus VAT for the franchise fee. So you break that down, it costs about 9.5 plus VAT for time, you know, like recruitment. We do so much training, recruitment, help you find a premises, help you do your
so you don't just take the money and go, there's my logo, there's my colours.
God, no. It's not
really in there. Right.
Yeah. So I'm really heavily involved in the first 6 months, like finding a property. It's down to me to sign off the property, because my properties are all double bay fronted windows. Like that's my signature style. I like a Georgian property, you know, I like an older property. So it'll be me that goes and signs it all off. So I will do a lot of property searching with them.
So can I ask you, have you ever, with the franchisees that you've got now, even though they sound lovely and it sounds like you've got a lovely relationship with them, has there been conflicts of interest, or has there been awkward moments where they haven't been quite on the same page as you? Or
there's loads. It's really difficult.
Yeah. They're like, but it's mine, and you're like, but it's mine, and it's like, but there's going to be some kind of middle ground.
I'll give you an example actually, because this is quite recent, and I know Emma wouldn't mind. I basically have my franchisees, I treat them like they're my managers, so they are part of my ops team. Emma believes that she is my operations manager, bless her, but they like, we have a Christmas party, we just had one, and everybody was there, every single team. It was incredible, and I treat their teams like they're ours as well. I think it's really important, like the culture is really important for me. But Emma, I was really involved because she was my first one, and because me and my husband have done all of the fit outs for our salons ourselves, so I know what goes into it, and I'm really involved in the setup and always do the launch. Her husband's a chippy and was making the nail bench, and he was making it and he threw it together, and it had these horrible IKEA metal legs on it.
I know what do you mean already?
Triangle legs, they're awful, they're so cheap. And also, as a client, imagine straddling one of those bad boys, like it's just awful. So all of our nail benches are made out of this wood that comes on these pallets from the States, and we get it like really cheap, but it's such good wood, and they're made really well. My husband makes them, and they're beautiful, and they're bespoke nail benches, like 4 or 5 person ones. Her husband made them out of scaffolds and put these metal legs on, and I hated it from the minute it was done, and it was finished about half an hour before we opened for our launch. And I told him at the time, this is not going to stay, this is just a makeshift, because my first nail bench was made out of scaffolds, and you know, it was just what you do. But I said, you have to change it. He's only just changed it because it's been a battle of egos, of wills,
stubbornness.
Real stubbornness. Why does she
isn't that what you've got your contracts and isn't that what the contracts are there for? Isn't that what?
It's all there. It's all there. But
they just basically try to take the piss a little bit.
It's kind of like, well, you know, what's her problem? Why is she so fussy about a nail bench? However, she couldn't grow. She couldn't fit more than 3 people on this bench because of these legs. So I was like, you need 4 people now at least for Christmas, because but she's built up that momentum. She's really picking up the pace. And I was like, don't make a client straddle those legs, please. You can fit 5 on there, but don't make them sit there because it's awful. You then become like a bit of a Del Boy type salon, and not the type of salon we are.
And that's not your branding or your positioning.
No, it's not. I mean, there's been many times we've stuck a bistro table on the end of a nail bench because people are so desperate to have their nails, but that's Farnham, and it's mental there. And we've been established for 8 years, and if a client says, get me one of those bistro tables, let me sit on the end, you're going to do it.
You know your demographic, you know your audience, you know what you're dealing with.
They would rather have their nails done and sit at these metal bistro tables that are in the staff room than they would not have their nails done. So that's okay.
You've got to hand it to them, they're loyal.
They're loyal as loyal can be. However, it's not something I would do outside of a client's request. And for Emma, I was like, and she gets it. The thing is, she got it, but she was so in the middle because it was between me and her husband. And I was like, I'm gonna have to start pulling.
You had to go boss mode. You know,
it's been funny up until now, and it's been really stressful because bless her, she opened like October before lockdown, so she hasn't had a running start. I didn't want to give her any extra cost for no reason, but I said, you need to drive your business now. The momentum's there, the staffing is there, because that's been a nightmare, isn't it? But we've got the staff, everything's happened. You now need to get that nail bench sorted, and if he doesn't, then I will get Martin to make it, and you'll just have to pay for it.
And then
all of a sudden he's made it, and it looks beautiful. But that was probably the hardest thing. I was like, oh.
Well, my next question was, what are as a franchisor, as the owner of the business in a box model, what are the pros and cons? So straight away there's a con where other opinions come into play.
Yeah, the biggest difficulty, and is when you're dealing with therapists, especially, every therapist thinks they know better. They know
we know this in our industry.
Yeah, we all know that. Everyone knows better. So actually, two of my franchisees are not therapists, and it's kind of nice because you've not got anyone going, but I prefer this range and I like this one better. However, Petersfield, Vanessa has just said to me, she's like, please, can I do spray tan? I was like, I mean, if you really want, I don't ever want to do spray tan because I hate the mess, can't be doing with it. It's just not my jam. And she's like, no, I desperately want it. I was like, yeah, go for it then. It's no skin off my nose. If you want to do it, like, go for it. Just make sure it goes on your menu. I still get 5%, you know?
So that makes sense. You've got to allow them the room to grow their own wings. And it goes back to a conversation I had with Sarah Abel, who's a real ambassador for the apprenticeship scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah. And, you know, we said very similar to what you've just said. Sometimes where they come with no experience, the ego's kind of left at the door, and you get to then mold them into your way. So and
that's the thing with a franchise, you do have to do it the way that what was, you know, you're buying into that. There's no point in buying a Starbucks and liking Costa better, you know. You're buying into that brand, you're buying into that model, so you have to follow it. But you know, there's room for negotiation, and also, you know, we're evolving, the industry is evolving all the time. I can't just stay as it is. I'm very aware of that. So the cons are probably mainly that, and the hard conversations you have to have. Like at the beginning, you know, it can be quite tough. With Vanessa, we had like lots of contractual things to discuss. If you go into it and you've got nothing to lose, then you're not going to be so picky on your contract. If you've got a lot to lose, then you're going to be a lot pickier. That was quite difficult.
I think it goes though, in regards to anything in business and any sector, the more you've gone through something, you know how to handle it the next time just that little bit better, or to quash certain things right from the off. So it starts to feel more like
business.
This is the way, like this is the way.
You know, just because somebody doesn't agree with it doesn't mean they have to get on board.
So
there was a lot of like leeway, and you know, Vanessa is an incredible woman. She's a bit of a powerhouse as well. So she's like, we don't believe this. And I was dealing with her and her husband. We don't want this. We don't want that. He's a very successful businessman. And there's just little old me in my office in the end of my garden going, okay. And you have to decide, is that 19.5 grand, 10 grand profit fundamentally, is that worth it for this £1,000 I'm going to spend on a legal fee? And also, I don't want someone buying into my business and hating it from the offset. So we did come to an agreement, and there was lots of things. I'm really happy with the way that it finished, but it was all down to communication and not being afraid to have my voice and to say what I really believed. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to be intimidated. It's my business.
Can you hear that? My phone's ringing through my thing. We just declined that call.
You should answer them, get them on a live. You know, like what's his face does, the comedian.
I'll do that. My next live is Layla.
You should do that. It'd be really funny.
But I hear what you're saying, because it's not just about the money. We can see that from the way your passion is coming through in this very interview right now. And also, you want longevity. You want to be in bed with these people for years and years to come.
That's it. You're going to be in bed with them for at least 5 years, more than likely 10. And also, Vanessa's got so many different plans. Like, she wants her own chain of franchises. She wants to go big. So I knew that we needed to make sure we had that relationship from the offset, and that we had that respect for each other. You know, she's going to respect me for standing my ground. I respect her. And we came to it together. Rather than it just going to solicitors, we dealt with it all ourselves.
So that was really interesting what you've said. So this is one of your franchisees who's already said to you she wants to have her own franchise. She also wants to buy my salons. She obviously sees the model and wants to replicate that. Again, this is how the world works. So it's not like the worst thing in the world. But how does that work so what would happen then? Would she have to sell her franchise to someone that you would then agree to?
Oh no, she wants her own chain of Muis.
Oh, so with Muis.
No, she wants her own chain. She wants like 5 of her own.
Got you. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, it's all right. But they can sell it if they want to, but I have to authorise the person they sell it to.
course. I think it's very much about culture when it comes to franchises. Definitely.
Yeah, she could find someone else that just buys her movies and then they just pay me the royalties. She can sell that for however much she wants.
Yeah,
she could put a price on that. You know, she could realistically, if you're really smart, you could go in, buy a business, build it up, do all the fun stuff, do all of the initial stuff, and then sell that business as a going concern.
Yeah, and execute. Not bad.
Yeah,
okay, it's not bad.
It's a good model, isn't it?
So you said it costs around about 20k, 19 and a half plus VAT. So around just over 20. But half of that is the profit.
10,
Where's the first 10 going?
So the 9.5 is uniform. I provide everything. So uniform, marketing, so their initial like price list. It's all the Google, it's all the time. I also put them on business training as well with me, which is 4 days. Then, and their assistants, I do recruitment with them, or my team does recruitment with them. I normally do their management recruitment with them, and my team do their staff recruitment, their therapist recruitment. All it's time that they're paying for out of that money.
Actually, sounds like a lot of consulting.
Yeah, it's loads, and that's it. You're basing it on a consultancy fee, and then also that includes staff training. So we have our training centre. We go in, train them, and so we recruit their team with them. So you're basically holding their hand through the whole process. And then I will always do the launches because that's my absolute favourite thing. And I just don my pinny and just do free file and polishes for 2 days. And Vanessa was like, I want you here in a suit. She's quite old school. So I want you in a suit. I want you being boss. I was like, that ain't me.
Yeah.
What's really good is clients will book on, go, oh my God, Amy, head wench. Is that who? Okay, I'm going with her. So I get 2 days of people just interrogating me about the brand, where it comes from, what a franchise is. So it's a really good opportunity for me to do sales meetings whilst doing nails.
Almost pitching like for the next.
I don't need to, because they're booking in with me for that reason most of the time. And I love like going to all the local businesses and touting and getting them all in. Like that's my favourite thing, because who I am.
Yeah. So the launch, you're absolutely there, opening your
team.
Is that your emotional connection, would you say? That's the emotional part.
Yeah, that's just for me for fun. Like I don't have to be there. And ask me in 10 more franchises whether I'm still there for the launch. I don't know. But my team come with me, you know, that we have the certain core that all come along and do the free nails, because we all know what we're doing and initiate.
That's a real celebration, isn't it? Because
it's massive. And it takes about 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to open a salon. It could take a year depending on finding a property.
Yeah.
So it's not a quick win. So when you work it out, you kind of go, well, that 9.5 is all my time, all my staff's time, all of the effort. You know, we've got marketing manager doing Google, we've got, you know, training going on, ops going on, all of that's happening. So that 9.5 doesn't go very far.
Yeah. But then there is more, isn't there? So again, as a franchisor, I hate those words, franchisee.
No, it's a bit corporate, isn't it?
It's a mouthful. You do continue to get paid through royalties, don't you? So explain, this is really for anybody who's watching this to be on either side.
Well, the management service fee is like your royalties. So everybody charges different. We charge 5% plus VAT of net revenue. So I don't include retail in that, because also they're retailing a lot of my products. So I feel like if I'm already wholesaling my products to them, I don't think it's fair to take another 5%.
The margins are there for you already.
So I don't include retail in that. And also we're not a massive retail business other than our own products, but we're 5% of services and course sales. Vouchers are all done head office, ideally, like kind of centrally. But 5% of net revenue.
And is there a way of them not being truthful to the figures? To maybe pay?
Well, because we use Forest, I have access to everybody's system.
So you get to see everybody's system. So there's no
you wouldn't do this unless you wouldn't do it if you're still invoicing people or doing it on a hand receipt. We have to have a system. I access everybody's. All of our reporting is done on Forest. There are ways for people to be sneaky, and
I'm not saying your ladies are doing that.
No, there are ways, and KG would be a good one to talk to about that, because she's experienced it in the past. But for instance, if they rent rooms but they don't rent them properly and they do a different transaction, there are different ways. However, spot checks are what help that, but also support, and we have such a connection. I don't think they would do that anyway, because we're all just too connected. So it
feels very family. Feels very family from what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I suppose, you know, I want to be a multi-millionaire. I want to be so successful. I want to be obscenely rich. Yeah. However, I don't want to get there by being a dickhead.
Oh, of course.
So I want to be true and authentic and earn that money and earn my place in the world. And I believe by being an authentic, good human being.
Well, but I've said this in so many clubhouse rooms, in the BBC group on Facebook, that people come with a BS radar now. Like, people see bullshit coming. If you can even try and be fake and try and be nice, but you're not really nice, people can see through that stuff now. You know, people can see genuine people and not genuine people a mile off. So,
and there's that whole thing, isn't there? I've got a real bee in my bonnet about fake it till you make it, because I get it, but I don't agree with it, because that's why there's this whole thing about everybody faking it and not knowing who they are and then struggling with mental health because no one's actually being authentic. You know,
social media's got a lot to answer for that.
Yeah, it has. And I think if we're just authentic, you know, most of us are good people. Let's just be good. And connection to me is everything. I want them to feel like they can pick up the phone and have a problem. And at the beginning, I think, you know, Emma used to phone me nearly twice a day, every day. Now I hear from her once a month and it's a really good chat. But, you know, it's always that kind of mentoring the whole way through it. And there's nothing that I haven't experienced in my own salons, problem-wise.
Well, this kind of goes back to what we just said before we hit record, is that you are the salon owner. So you're not going, I like it this way, or I think this would work. But you've never been you're doing it. You're the salon owner. You're in it. You are it.
Yeah. So, and I've made all the mistakes. So I'm like really, and they all have their own individual quirks. So Gigi used to work for me, the Brazilian Moo. And she's never been a manager before. So I help her a lot with HR. And, you know, that's great. I help Emma. She was a nurse before Muiz, and she's retrained as a therapist, but I help her a lot with finance, so I'll make sure that she's logging all of her expenditure and I'll check all of that and see how much money she's got and cash flow, because that's where she needs help. Vanessa doesn't need any of that. She just loves a chat. So I just have a chat with her. So we talk about like future and development of the brand and the business. We talk very, very different relationships and support levels, but I'm here for all of them, for whatever they want.
So where did you find your ladies? Have any of these ladies been clients out of interest?
2 of them.
There you go. I just wondered that, because a lot of these things you always find in our own ecosystem. Like, you created them before they were officially a thing.
Well, Emma was... So Jo, who works with me, as she was my Farnham manager for 6 years, and she's now my training manager. Emma's been Jo's client for about 12 years, and she's followed her to every single salon. And Emma was a nurse working in she worked everywhere in A&E, and she's working with a respiratory ward. And she just, after kids, she was just like, I just don't want to do it anymore. She'd loved Muiz. It was her favourite salon that Jo had worked in. She was an avid fan. And Jo was like, why don't you have a franchise then? And it was just from there, I had a chat with her, and everyone had already always told me, you need a salon in Hazelmere. You really need one, because it's kind of half an hour away from Farnham, but very similar. And I was like, oh, okay. And then Emma was like, I'm from Hazelmere. And I was like, you know, when everything just aligns, your stars align. And I got on so well with her. Yeah. I just adore them all, actually. But yeah, that's
really nice.
It just worked. It just
worked.
It's
so lovely, because everyone's winning. Everyone's leveling up. Everyone's growing. You know,
she never thought she'd have her own business. She never had management experience. She had management experience. She never had business experience. She didn't know about therapists. She just knew it from a client's perspective. So it's been a massive learning curve for her and for me. But also she because she was my first one, she was my pilot scheme. So she got it at half price, because it was like, I'm testing it with you, you're testing it with me, let's just see how this goes. So we do have a different type of connection.
Yeah, that's nice. That is nice.
And then I have and then upstairs in her salon is my training centre. I rent that space from her.
Oh my God, see, looking after each other again.
Yeah, exactly. I fitted it out so it's ready for her to convert to treatment rooms when I've outgrown it.
Yeah,
you know, it's all win-win. Gigi was a staff member in Farnham, and then Vanessa, I've lost a fortune from her moving over from being a client, because she was that client that bought courses and everything. She came to me for her nails every week, and I had to refund her for her outstanding courses the other day as well.
Oh my God, but it's all right though, Amy, because you gave it back that way, but then you got it back that way.
I know. She was like, I know this is really cheeky, but I've got courses left in Farnham, and I've got my own. Why would I go back? And I was like, God damn it. Yeah, here you go.
Hilarious.
Here's your refund.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, she's an incredible powerhouse. Yeah. So she's already extending next year. She only opened in August. She's extending upstairs. She wants like my salon. She wants all of them. I think she'd buy the brand off her if I let her.
This is always positive news, because we know officially our sector has shrunk with what's going on out in the world, but we're going to pretend the world's not out. All the noise, we're going to ignore the noise, but we know that the industry shrunk. We know there's a shortage in staff and definitely in skill set. So it's really nice to hear these positive, visions, and everyone's there growing and growing and standing on each other's shoulders. It's really nice, really nice.
Lockdown, it was tough, but I don't know if Emma would have been as successful if she was doing it on her own. I mean, Gigi, she opened during lockdown. She opened in the December in between. And I remember saying to her, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she went, "What would you do?" And I said, "I'd push the fuck it button and go for it." And she went, "I'm going to do the same then." I was like, "Okay."
I love that.
It's like, I'm a bit ballsy, so I would just do it. And Vanessa's not so much, so that's why we waited till August.
But maybe they pick up energy, because I know that my own staff do this with me. I know my best friends get this from me as well, because they've told me, and my own staff have told me. And a lot of the people in my career that are now teaching, I've got some of the most amazing schools out there that I taught how to teach. I know that they get this particular energy from me. So it might be from you as well. Like, you give them this confidence, even if you don't know you're doing it. But
and also I just think, I've got to tell you this, but my daughter, when she was like 2, she had this like keyboard, right? And we always used to say the saying, nobody died, yeah. So she started singing on this keyboard and she started smashing away, going, nobody died. And I always think of that, because like there is nothing we either haven't dealt with or we can't deal with. And I genuinely believe that. Nobody's died. I mean, obviously in COVID, that's awful. But in our current business, in what we're dealing with, the problem we've got, let's just find a solution. I'm a big solution finder. Like, I'm always a problem solver. And I think from that, because they have that, they can kind of go, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, what would you do? And I'm like, well, I'd do this, or I'd have a go at that. And they definitely get that energy.
Yeah, that's really
ballsiness.
Nice. So you touched earlier on contracts and operation manuals. Where do you get that from? Does that come from you outsourcing to a solicitor who specializes in franchises?
Yeah. So when I first set out, I went to the franchise exhibition in Birmingham, I think it was, when I first started thinking about it. And Piper was like 6 months old, so I was still breastfeeding. And it was like a sea of suits, like grey, black suits.
Like that in our own shows.
Yeah, middle class, men, middle-aged.
Yeah.
And I was in like a bright pink and red dress, and I was breastfeeding. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so Martin went off with the other one, with Willow, and I was sitting in this seminar about how to franchise your brand, and I had to breastfeed Piper. And so I had all these men around me. The guy looked at me, didn't even know what to do. And I'm there feeding my kid. Wow. And this woman come over to me, and she was like one of the only women there. And she was on The Apprentice. I can't remember what her name was. And she came over and she went, "Can I just say that was exceptional? Well done." And I was like, okay, thanks. I'm from the beauty world. Like,
baby's gotta eat.
I'm from the beauty world. Like, you just do, don't you? I'd forget. I haven't been in corporate for a very long time. And then anyway, so I met the consultant there, who I got on so well with. It cost me a small fortune, but I paid a consultant, and I still to this day don't believe anybody should do franchising without one.
Well, you've made that initial investment. It's not like you've got to do it every time you get a new franchisee.
No. It was. I had a firm that helped me create the framework, like decide how much I'm going to charge, do all of that. And then I had a solicitor that created my legal agreement. And I will still go back to them for like if I need any help, or if I've had franchise problem, like the franchise agreement problems or legal side of stuff.
So do you offer services? I think one of my kids are about to come in. Do you offer, for school's finished, do you offer services for salons that may want to roll out their own franchise model for their salon? Not so much to buy a Murray's, but they want to open their salon number 2, salon number 3. As well as what you're doing, you have your own.
So because I'm not busy enough, obviously, with the 5 companies I've got, or whatever it is, you lose track, don't you? I'm like, somebody said to me, how many companies you got? And I was like, oh, I don't know, loads. But Salon franchise is something I've created with Katie Godfrey, because she's got a very different franchise experience to me. Mine's been nothing but like positive, but she had a franchise consultant that didn't necessarily deliver what they said they would. We've just got lots of lessons to learn together. So we've teamed up and created Salon franchise. So we're working with someone at the minute who's got 7 or 8 salons at the minute, and we're helping her franchise her brand. And it's kind of my giving back, because I get it and I've operated it, and I've now opened 3, and I'm going to hopefully open another 3 this year or next year. Next year. And I kind of want to help other people, because once you've got that system and process, the rest is
we're so aligned, Amy. We're so aligned. I'm exactly the same, which is why I launched the Beauty Boss Academy. Like I said, you know, I didn't need to, but I wanted to, and for me it was my giving back. And I just love it. I love this industry, but also I massively believe that we need more franchises, and because we need to standardize the industry. We need it to improve, and people are coming out doing cheap courses and undercutting everybody. They're not sustainable necessarily. Sometimes they are, but what about if you could just choose, you know, between a Costa and a Starbucks and a Nero's, you just chose what sort of salon was aligned with you. And then it'd be easy, and then the clients would get better. We could all charge the treatments the prices that we should be charging, and also the businesses are going to be more successful. It just makes so much more sense to me. It's a win-win-win, like the win continue.
Because I've had people say, well, why would you help other businesses set up a franchise and compete with you? And I was like, because it just lifts up my awareness, and also then if someone's going to look at their franchise, they'll do the research and they'll find the one that's perfect for them. Think how many people set up a business,
and it's not really competing. I don't think any of it is competing. Like there's enough there's enough money, there's enough success, there's enough of everything in abundance, there's enough of everything out there. If anything, the more my understanding, not just in franchise but in anything, is to see others do it first and take that as evidence that the model works. Rather than be the first, even, you know, it's all good to be the first, and early adopters are amazing. And I'm a bit of an early adopter in a lot of stuff, what I've done. But at the same time, I would feel far more secure in knowing that it's been done already out there and it's been done good.
Working. And then follow that. For sure. Follow it. All it does is build up that standardization and improve what we're offering, improve what we're doing. I just think it's the way forward, rather than people setting up a business, investing. You know, a salon is going to cost you. I mean, Horsham probably cost me about 40-50 grand to set up anyway. That's how much it would cost if you had a franchise doing it with you, and you're paying for the fee and you find the right premises. Like, it's not that much more.
That's right.
And so if you're going to invest in it, why not invest in something that's already successful, and ride those coattails, but then, you know, be that person. If you are good in what you do and you are, you know, your business well, because your model has to be successful. You can't replicate a model that's running at a loss every year. It has to be proven that you know. And as a consultant, I look at figures. I make sure I'm really nerdy when it comes to tech and figures, but
you need to be, especially now.
Don't we? But you have to be really upfront, and which is a bit uncomfortable for a lot of people, because people will say, I'm really successful, but they're running at a 5 or 10 grand profit and not paying themselves anything. That's not success. If you want someone to buy into your brand, you've got to be showing that you're running at like 80-90 grand profit for a very small salon, and that you're, you know, that there is some profit there and it's replicable. People don't want a salon that's making necessarily millions. They want a salon that's profitable, that they can earn a salary and have a kit,
have a half decent life, have a few savings, a bit of compounding, all of that kind of stuff. 95% of our industry are running non-profitable salons right now.
It doesn't surprise me.
Shocking.
But then also, I mean, I could harp on for ages about like stock levels and people having 1 million products to do 1 million treatments that they don't need to do. I mean, I could do a whole chat about that.
But, I think a lot of salons are figuring that one out through lockdown, through the pandemic. I think. I mean, we were very, very early on Clubhouse. Let's just talk about.
We were, weren't we?
We were like some of the first, actually.
There was like the like diehards, weren't they? Like, we're going to pivot. We're going to make something good out of it. 5 of us that were just showing up on there. We're like, oh, hey. It was the same.
But you know what? It was needed. The timing was perfect for Clubhouse because we couldn't get to our tribe. And people having these conversations and realizing that, oh my God, other salon owners are going through the same challenges and the same this and the same that. And it was talked about, certainly in my own club, the Beauty Boss Club, where we were talking about, you need to be seen as an expert. Like you have to be good at something. What is your corner? What corner? You can't be good at everything. You can't stock everything. You can't be seen as the specialist in everything. Go with one, maybe two, and own it. And I think a lot of salons have done that.
Yeah. You know? And especially when staffing, when recruiting, you know, when you've got all of these, you see them, don't you, salons, and it looks like every product house is thrown up in their window. Like you've got 10 different product houses, and then when that person leaves, they've got nobody that can deliver those treatments. And then you've got to retrain, which costs thousands and weeks of time. And I've worked in this industry for so long, I've seen that happen in every spa I've managed, salon I've worked in. And I was like, surely we can just streamline this and make it super efficient. And if we just do nails and waxing and we can train that ourselves, then also my stock holding, because I don't believe in having like 10 different waxes because they smell different. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I want good products that do lots of different things. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. It's really funny you say that. As if me sat here with my distribution hat on, you know.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yeah.
No, but it's really interesting because you're absolutely right. And that company, I have thousands and thousands of SKUs, thousands of products, whether it's nails, lashes, tanning products, consumables, that kind of stuff. But with my Beauty Boss hat on, I'm saying to Beauty Boss customers, members, audience, students, I'm saying, you don't need to buy any more nail varnishes. You don't need to buy another collection of glitters. Like they do have shiny objects.
We're all suckers for it. I have to rein my managers in. They've got budgets and they can't go over it. And if it's a new collection, they have to wait till the next month. They've got money.
There you go. And I'm saying, I'm almost talking you out of going to my company here and buying these products. But this company here is saying to you, level up in a different way. Like invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge, invest in learning the numbers, invest in learning the weaknesses of your business and all that stuff. You know, get rid of the services that you don't like doing, or you're actually losing money as opposed to even breaking even.
But then also team up with the other salons that do that. Like I just do fluffy treatments, lashes, nails and waxing, all the stuff that's instant results, long results, pretty stuff. Yeah. You know what? There's salons that specialize in holistic treatments. There's salons that specialize in lashes, like extensions. We don't do them. So team up with those people and build your own tribe and community of other experts, and you'll all feed off each other. Yeah,
you can see. I mean, we're doing it now. This is a collaboration right now. And we are very much in the world of collaborations. I've been collaborating forever because of all the brands that I brought in through the Creative Beauty Group. But collaboration is massive because you get to dip your toes into each other's ecosystems, you know, and it's profitable. So absolutely.
Also supporting each other, you know, it's so incredible. And like you said earlier, you know, about there's enough success for everybody. You know, when you get people and they come in, they undercut, and then they like, we get it. I don't know, there's so many salons we get so many people, competitors booking in and not showing up for treatments. Like, do you know, it's, I mean, we're getting rid of it now, but every time we open a salon, there's a few that do that. You just think, are you spending all that time and energy worried about us? Well, no wonder you're not going to work. No wonder it's going to fail because you're too busy focusing on stuff. I look at prices competitively. That is the only thing I look at because I always like to price myself in the middle. But that is it. I don't care. I don't look on other people's social media. I don't care what other people are doing. I have no interest. I am staying in my lane.
We're so alike.
I know we are really alike, aren't we? I said this before. And I just think everyone should do that rather than being catty. I hate that. The only thing I really hate about our industry is the bitchiness.
But I think it still comes back to good old mindset and self-worth. That's really, it just comes back to that bulletproof growth mindset. Not that fixed mindset, not that worrying, not that, you know, imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. I don't really suffer with any of that. Like I've had quite deep conversations with my friends think I'm not normal.
Do you remember when I sent you a message? I was like, oh, it's really shit that's happened. You put something up and I was like, I'm really sorry, I hope you're okay. If you need to talk about anything, you went, no, I don't really care actually. I was like, oh, okay.
So that's a genuine thing, and my friends are like, wow, Layla, I need some of that from you. Like if they're going through a thing, they call me like I'm their therapist. I mean, we're best friends, so that's what you do with your friends, but they come off and they go, I needed to hear that. I knew you were going to say something like
your
that.
Your superpower. Don't give a shit.
100% got that.
And that's it. I think we need to stay in our lane, and we need to not worry about what everyone else is doing, and certainly not undercut people. Like,
definitely.
Because also you're just cheapening your own brand. Like, you're cheapening your own offering.
Yeah.
By cheap by twice and all that. That's what people think. Anyway.
Definitely. So last question.
Yeah.
When you decided, right, I've done my research, I've been to the franchise exhibition, I've talked to a few people, I'm going to do this for my salon. Were there anybody in your life, whether it was not so much clients, whether it was maybe staff that you had, or even maybe your own husband, mum, or whoever, that was there any friction? Was there any people that talking you out?
No, well, not really. No, I was really lucky. Like, my husband's so supportive, and he was the one that dragged me to the franchise show and gave me the baby to breastfeed. Like, he's really supportive. So for him, I'm really lucky like that. And so I said to him, I need 6 months to create this operations manual, because although I paid for a consultant, he was like, I'm not a beauty expert, I don't know anything about your world, so you have to do your own operations manual or pay me another $5,000 to figure it out. And I was like,
I'll do it.
I'll do it. But also that's why I can do Salon franchise, because I've created my own manual from scratch, so I can use that. But it took me 6 months to create that, and I had processes anyway, but this was like a whole different ball game. This is literally, how do you go VAT registered, how do you set up a limited company, everything.
It's literally 101. It's literally
it is how to manage your business, where do you buy your stock from, how do you buy it, everything, how to do your profit and loss, everything is in there. So that, I said to my husband, I need at least 6 months, and I just need to plow on through this. And he was like, cool, I've got it, I'll sort kids out every night, you do that, whatever we need to do. I think I'm lucky, I'm really lucky. I've got amazing people. I believe you should surround yourself with, people that help level you up, or that you can level up and they don't bring you down, like crabs in a bucket. Have you heard that saying?
Yeah.
So I don't have any crabs in my bucket, luckily.
I love
but I think from my team's perspective, the only concern they had was that I was going to go and run off and forget about them. So I needed to make sure I had my support network in place so that the salons felt supported. I think that was the most important thing. So Emily, who works for me in Horsham, she helps me with operations. So she does half salon manager, half operations until we get more salons, and she'll be fully ops then. But obviously the salons can't be left and forgotten about. They're still my babies. And so Joe in Farnham, they just, it's communication. They just need to make sure that I still love them. They're still my favorite babies.
Communication. And I think that's the key word, isn't it? When I moved to Spain, for 3 years, I flew back every 6 weeks, so I didn't have to. Especially we were doing a lot of Skypes. I know a lot of people are on Zooms now, but back then, before COVID, before the pandemic, I was doing regular Skypes. To be honest, it was more for me than them. Like, they just wanted to get on with their job. And I would fly back every 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, depending what time of year it was. And I did go through my own little guilt trip of they would be opening my stories and see me, laying
flipping it up,
down the pool or down whatever. And I did start feeling like, oh shit, like they're in my offices, or they're picking and packing in the warehouse, or they're whatever. And I'm out in mobs, bloody, every day. Like, so I felt the need to really keep that line of communication strong, so that they didn't feel like, oh, well, she's just pissed off and we're here bloody. Obviously it's their job, at the end of the day, but
they're slogging away earning you money to live it up, basically.
So basically, there does come that little thing of going, oh, I need you, you need me, we're a team, I haven't forgotten you, which is why I was coming back all the time. So I think communication is absolutely vital to make sure that everyone still feels valued. You know it, don't you? Without our teams, we wouldn't be able to do half the things that we do.
And, that's it. And they I think they just know now that I'm very project focused. I'm always on to the new project or something different or evolving. So ever since I was in my salon working, doing nails for 2 years. And then after that, it was a really nice cut, because I went on maternity leave. And then after that, I was always just creating something. So I involve them. So when I bring out a new product, they try it in the salons first. Whenever I bring out new training online, the staff will do it first, or the moves will do it first. Everything I do, I involve them all. So they don't feel like I'm not doing anything, or they're just working in the salons. And it just feels like part of a massive organised, a massive team, I
love it. I think I told you, didn't I, earlier this year, that I didn't do it in the end. I nearly went into a franchise.
Yeah.
Lip envy. Do you remember mentioning
when we first talked about doing this, you said about something with lip envy.
Yeah, it was one of my own students, very much the same as you with your customers that end up wanting to have that conversation. It's one of my own students who had flown from Israel, see her family in London, then came and saw my London trainer for Lip Envy. And then she wanted to franchise Lip Envy brand into her market and into her country. And to be honest, the reason I didn't was because I was so focused and busy with other businesses and other things, and we were going through a pandemic, and I just moved country, and I'm trying to get kids into school, and I thought it's not really on my priority, and I don't really understand it enough. It didn't grab my attention enough to look into it further. So that in the end I ended up just very nicely declining it. And the other thing for me was the different legislation, because it's lip filler, you know. When you start going into the aesthetic world and you start looking into different cosmetic licenses and things like that, and what's okay in England may not necessarily be okay in Israel. And it's like bloody Israel as well, of all the countries. I'm like, I'm literally going, where is Israel again? I'm not really, but you know what I mean? So I was just like, yeah, I'll come back to that one. But something I may speak to you about. We have a family salon. I think you know we've got Privé. It's stunning. I'm not just saying
it's beautiful salon.
It's literally life. Like that salon is amazing. And I stock the salon. So yes, all my brands. And then the two owners, one is my brother, and he packs in my warehouse. He's been employed for about 10 years. And one is my sister, who's one of my trainers, who I've employed now for 15 years. So neither of them work in Privé. Both of them work at Creative, but it works so amazingly. And I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but I've had a conversation with my brother about potentially franchising Privé.
So Privé is your salon?
No, so it's my sister's and my brother's.
Right.
I stock it, so obviously they're a customer of mine.
But they also work for you.
But they're employed by me.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm there.
It's crazy, but it works. It works, you know. And because it's so stunning, and like my brother, who is hands-on, he went in there and he physically built the pedicure stations. He laid the white tiles, like it's chandeliers. Like it's a very, very easy, as far as my education goes with franchises, it's a very easy business to replicate. And also with me being the official stockist of Privé, we can have it where all the salons, all the Privé,
from you.
would be buying all. Their tan would have to be exposed, you know, their lashes would have to be lash envy, you know, brows have to be brow envy, blah, 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 which are all my brands.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. So this is a conversation I've had with him about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether that's a conversation to maybe look into again, because I think salons have got to do something different, like you said before, not just to raise standards, but for a lot of salons out there, not including Privé, thank God, but for a lot of salons on there, things have got to change out there.
Yeah.
The landscape of the salon business, the way we've always known it, has changed.
Yeah.
Our clients' behaviors have changed. Like everything has changed, you know. So I wonder whether that is a smart move for the Privé brand, because it's stunning. I don't know if you look at them on social media and stuff, but
I do follow
their
them.
engagement
It's
beautiful. Their engagement is massive. They're like everything is just so, and it's so effortlessly done as well.
Yeah.
And I just think maybe that is something that I might come and speak to you and Katie about with your other, because
it's definitely a franchise model for sure. It's the kind of brand that needs to be franchised, and it's easily replicated.
Yeah, I think so, because like you say with Mui's, why you can spend 50k setting up a salon learning the hard way or the slightly longer way, or you can feel part of a culture, a community, a team, a family, whatever, and ride that wave together, but fast track all the bullshit that you go through when you're figuring this out for yourself. You know,
and that's it. So because also you could provide the management training out of all of your
already they all have my training at the Creative Beauty Group.
So it all works hand in hand. It's a really good model.
It's
a really, really good model, because all of the franchisees buy my products And I buy all the marketing stuff, like, because I don't know what system you use, but with Forest you get all the treat cards and the gift cards and all that. So I buy it in bulk, and then they buy it off me, but they buy it cheaper than they would if they were buying small quantities. So you know, like, it all works, that everybody's benefiting.
Yeah, definitely.
So it can be done.
Yeah. Oh, Amy, I've really, really enjoyed our conversation today. I always do, and we go so long talking because you've disappeared on Clubhouse. You don't really spend much time on that.
I wasn't overly enamored. I felt like, do you know, there was a few problems, right, in lockdown. Is I was on Clubhouse and drinking quite a lot because it was funny. So I was, and then, and also I got really stuck into creating my training programs. I got really engrossed in all of that. And I still dip in now and again, but I missed interaction. I missed people, and Clubhouse was great at that time, but it doesn't bring me anything now. I would much rather pick up the phone or do a chat and actually have that connection. So I don't really need it right now. And I felt like it got a bit salesy. There was a lot of coaches on there, like, pitching and stuff, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to hear it again. Another PR specialist, another this. So there was a lot of people that done brilliantly on it, but it just wasn't my jam after a while.
Yeah. I think once April came and salons were allowed to reopen, because they're service-based providers, because they need to put their phones down to make money, there was decline in salon owners being on there. Even now, I mean, I have the breakfast with beauty bosses every Monday, and we've got the club, but it's the biggest club on there now, 4,000 members. Yeah.
Oh, wow, well done.
Yeah. And we're there every week. We're consistent. But the people that were on, like before, at the beginning, I could scroll through the screen of how many people were in the room. Now they're small rooms because everyone's busy running their own stuff, which is fair enough. But I think you're right. I think it served a purpose at the time, but now we can get in front of our customers and ideal clients or whatever. It's not as much needed, but we do have a face-to-face event happening in February, which I'll let you know about.
Okay, cool. I do think it's really good for business owners or independent therapists that work alone. I think Clubhouse is incredible for that, and I think it's great for people that would be part of a group like yours that go there for advice and support. I think that is incredible. And if you ever want me to come on and chat, then I will. I'll always do it. But for me,
you're like me, you're a talker.
I am, but I'm project mode, so it was always like projects.
I like that though. You ooze passion. Like, it's so lovely.
I know, it's like a hobby though, isn't it? If you love it that much, I don't feel like I'm like working. I could work 20 hours a day and I don't actually feel like I'm working. I just love it.
Yeah, I'm the same. Having said that, I do get the odd message on my stories like, do you ever work? Bloody do actually, but you know, I'm a bit further.
It's all about balance, right?
Oh, Amy, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye.